Hi, my name's TJ Linzy, and I'm going to give you a short introduction to the physical, historical, and human geography of the state of Nevada. We're going to start trying to place Nevada within the United States so that we have some context as to where it sits with the others. Nevada is here near the west coast in the western half of the United States. To the east is Utah. To the north is Idaho and Oregon. To the west is California. And to the southeast is Arizona. The first big question we have, though, is how did Nevada come to become Nevada? In other words, why does it look the way it looks? Well, before the United States owned this area, it was controlled by the English and the Spanish. And in 1709, they came to an agreement called the Nootka Convention that settled the lands between them at the 42nd parallel. And as you can see, the 42nd parallel forms the northern border of California, Nevada, and Utah. So that's how the northern portion got settled. Now we have to look and see, how did this area come under the control of the United States? Well, between 1846 and 1848, the United States and the Mexican government had a war. The outcome of that was that the Mexican government ceded portions of modern-day United States to the United States of America. It involved this area of California, modern-day Nevada, Utah, part of Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona as well. The outcome of that then was the United States took that area and created, first of all, the state of California in 1850, less than 2 years after the end of the war, but also the Utah Territory, which, as you can see, covers a large portion of modern-day Nevada, but also a portion of several other states, mainly Utah. It also created the New Mexico Territory to the south, which included most of Arizona and modern-day New Mexico. However, not long after that, this area started to get very heavily populated for a western state because of gold and silver deposits found in this area here across the border from California. We'll get into that a little bit more in detail as we talk about the state individually. But that radically changed the way the area looked. The Nevada Territory was settled along the eastern side, was settled along the 116th meridian. And the southern side was still the same as it was from the original Utah territory. And of course, the western side was still where California was set, and the northern side was the parallel that had been set between the Spanish and the English. Next, we have Nevada in 1862. At this point, the Civil War had kicked off, and the United States government was looking for control of the silver and gold deposits found in the Nevada Territory. So they took this area and moved the eastern border further east in order to claim more of those deposits. But that wasn't the end of it. After Nevada became a state, the United States government moved it even further to the 114th meridian. And that's where the final eastern side of the border was set. But finally, in 1867, Nevada government asked the United States government if it could have the southern portion that was part of the Arizona Territory that had access to the Colorado River, which would give Nevada a port that would eventually lead to the sea. As you can imagine, Arizona was not in favor of this, but Nevada had supported the war effort, and Arizona had aligned itself with the Confederate States. So the United States government rewarded Nevada with giving them this southern portion as well. As you can see, now we have the formal size of Nevada as it stands today. So with that in mind, let's move over to a full-size map of Nevada. This is pretty plain right now, but we're going to start and right from the beginning to kind of look and see what makes Nevada Nevada. First of all, we talk about the weather here. On that western side in California, you have the Sierra Nevada mountains, and the prevailing weather systems that come off of the Pacific Ocean and make their way through California. And those systems actually drop quite a bit of precipitation on Northern California, which makes it one of the more productive agricultural areas in the world. However, those prevailing systems get stopped primarily by the Sierra Nevada mountains, which means most of Nevada is very dry. It's also at pretty high altitude, so you have what's known as a high desert. You have some strange looking moonscapes. One of my favorite things to look at is pictures of the outback parts of Nevada, and you can compare some of those with places like the moon or Mars, and you won't see much difference between them. But if we take those away and we start talking about what the terrain looks like now in Nevada, you can actually see these hash marks represent mountain ranges. So Nevada is filled full of mountain ranges, but also valleys in between them. And those valleys are formed by the rivers and lakes that give the area a little bit of water, although not much, because Nevada only gets about 9 inches of precipitation each year. However, those rivers do allow people to live in this area, even though it's kind of a hard scrabble life. And the earliest people who did live here were the Indians. There were 4 tribes that mainly settled in the areas of Nevada. There was the Washoe tribe around Lake Tahoe, the Northern Paiute that covered most of the west and northwest side of Nevada, the Western Shoshone in the eastern and northeastern portion, and the Southern Paiute in the southern areas down around modern-day Las Vegas. These people lived in this area for at least 14,000 years, and we know that because archaeologists found evidence of them living in this area dating back to that time. However, it wasn't long before the European settlers from the eastern United States started making their way across this area, coming to the gold fields of California. Makes it a little bit easier if I pull away some of these terrain features, and you can see these trails, the California Trail mainly that come through here, but also the Carson Trail and a few others that came through this area. This brought the settlers in conflict with mainly the Northern Paiute Indians, somewhat with the Washoe, but mainly the Northern Paiute. And unfortunately, that meant as the settlements came in to mine the silver and the gold around the Virginia City area, it brought them into conflict. There was actually a war in 1860 between the Northern Paiute and the Washoe, the Northern Paiute and the American settlers around Virginia City. There were 2 battles, one in which the Indians decisively defeated the settlers, and one with the settlers defeated the Indians. Things were not always peaceful, but they got much better past that time once there were some peace treaties between the American government and the Northern Paiute and some reservations set up for them. Nevada continued to grow, mainly because of minerals, towns, but also towns along the Immigrant Trail, such as Winnemucca, Battle Mountain, and Elko, and Reno, near the Truckee River, just northeast of Lake Tahoe. The area continued to grow all the way into the 1920s, but then struggled. The Great Depression in the 1920s was very hard on Nevada because they had developed a gaming culture and tourism, and of course not many people were touring during that time. However, they got through that area with a lot of help from the federal government and began to grow again between the 1930s and the 1990s, including becoming the test site for the American government with atomic weapons here near the Nevada test site, right in the middle of the Nevada desert, in the middle of the state. The state continued to grow 1990s to the present. They've been one of the fastest growing states in the nation and continue to grow with new technologies such as solar power and radiant power from the earth. So Nevada has a bright future in front of it, but a very colorful history behind it. And thank you today for listening.